What is the most serious crime you have gotten away with? I hospitalized my 11-year-old sister, and I don't regret it one bit. For some context, I am the middle child of 3 daughters. My youngest sister, Jane, has been spoiled by my dad and my older sister Jenny since birth. If she just begs and cries, she'll get exactly what she wants. She doesn't do anything, is overweight, lazy and a crybaby. About a week ago, my birthday came around. I wasn't planning on doing anything that day, but Jenny came into the room suggesting we go to the mall. I agreed because I wanted to check out the new clothing store that had recently opened. We were planning on going with just us two, but my little sister saw us getting ready and wouldn't stop asking us where we were going. Eventually, she invited herself and started getting ready. I was obviously annoyed as I knew how this trip would go. Jane would beg us nonstop to buy her a bunch of random stuff, and if we didn't, she would throw a fit. When we got to the mall, we immediately ran to the new store, and Jane started running around the store looking for stuff to get. I took time looking at everything because I knew Jenny wouldn't get me a lot, but she would at least get me a few things. I grabbed a few shirts and jewelry that were on clearance, and headed over towards Jenny, who was waiting at the front. We bought what I wanted, which came out to about $18 with clearance and the discount because she works at a store that partners with this one. When Isabel came over, she showed my sister what she wanted and we went to pay. Even with my sister's discount, her stuff still came to around $50. Jenny was angry, but she caved and bought the stuff for her anyway. I'd like to point out that I'm a bit of a gamer, so I suggested our next stop be GameStop. I wanted to replace the game disc my sister had destroyed by accidentally sitting on it with her beluga body. Jane then whined and said she wanted to go into a different store because in her words, GameStop is for nerds. My older sister, for some reason, agreed with her, so we went to a different store. This went on for the next couple hours. I would suggest a store, we would go in, Jane would start crying, and we would leave. Our last stop, per Jane's request, was Build-A-Bear. I hated this place, and both Jane and Jenny knew this. A Build-A-Bear was the last gift my boyfriend gave me before ended his life, and I hated anything that made me think of the day I found him dead in his room. My sister, being the satanic spawn she was, probably did it to torment me. I refused, but once again, Jane started crying, so Jenny forced us to go. Jane dragged me into the store by my arm, and all of the horrible memories came flooding back to me. It took a mental breakdown in the middle of the store to get my sisters to bring me out. Needless to say, we went home, and I didn't talk to them for a while. After a couple hours, Jenny came to apologize, but Jane didn't seem to care. To Jane, I was overreacting. She told me, if you're gonna be this childish, maybe you should have treated your boyfriend better. If you'd have done that, maybe he'd still be here instead of 6 feet underground. I lost my temper, and punched her square in the jaw. She fell back and landed on her butt. How dare you talk about him like that? You think I don't tell myself that every day? You're a useless, ugly pig. All you do is complain and make everyone around you miserable. Mom and Dad may treat you like an angel, but you're more like a devil. I wish you'd never been born. For good measure, I kicked her in the ribcage. Looking back, this was most certainly overkill, but I needed an outlet for my years of bottled-up anger, and this oversized orangutan was the perfect opportunity. Jane ended up hospitalized, with 3 broken ribs and a broken nose. My parents were furious, and threw me out of the house. I was 18 when it happened, so I could have gotten into a lot of trouble with the police over this. Out of embarrassment and shame, Jane begged my parents not to press charges, because she didn't want anyone knowing what she was really like. Even so, I still had to live with one of my close friends for years after that. I ended up finishing school, and I'm currently in university studying computer science. Jenny has since moved out, after she was targeted by Jane when I left. As for Jane, well, she was arrested at 16 years old for repeatedly trying to steal from Macy's. She's currently in juvenile detention, and doesn't have a bright future ahead of her. It's nice to finally see that piece of crap in her place.